Start recording. All right. Here. And there. All right. So if I remember right, I got you to the point of going through forward pass, right? So now it's time to go backwards. Yeah. And then we're going to work some problems, and then we're going to have some practice, and we'll see where it takes us. Ultimately, this will probably lead to your first set of homework. Okay. You haven't had any yet, and you've been kind of chomping at the bit, right? I know you want some homework. No? At least you're honest. All right. It's kind of like forward pass, but it's actually working backwards. So, uh, so we're going to work all the time backwards from the last node all the way to the first node. Okay. And then we're going to have some conversations about critical paths and critical activities. But formula for this is late start and activity is equal to late finish of n activity minus the duration of a particular activity. Okay. And then as long as I'm here, I'm going to talk about this because we're going to see it more as we start going backwards. So critical activities. I kind of talked to you about this, but this literally, these are the things that have to be done on time and in sequence. Okay. Thank you. Now, remember to check, make sure you're all in the rosters. That would be even better. All right. So the other thing, in regards to the OneNote, so you'll see an email come out, but I'm not putting any links in Brightspace. Okay. So, and then I will doctor things up for official records someday. All right. Everybody good with the equations? We'll play with them here in a minute and have some fun with it. But the next thing I got to do for you is I got to show you how the work breakdown structure is going to work for our little activity on the nodes here. So, am I doing? Yep, the right one. Okay. All right. So here's the activities. We're going to do duration. We're going to do the predecessor. And usually you get a resource out here. I'm not going to assign resources. That doesn't really matter to the numbers as we play with them. Only when you're starting to work on your Gantt chart where you really want the resources. So for right now, you can just assume that's going to be a blank. All right, so I got activity A. That's going to take 2 days. Let's make that look like a really nice 2. And there's no predecessors. A is your beginning, okay, or one of the beginnings. B, this one's going to take 3 days for duration, and it's also in the beginning. C, it's going to take 1 day, and that has no predecessor, okay. D takes 2 days. It has a predecessor of A. E is going to take 2 days. It has a predecessor of A and B. F takes 2 days, and we have D and E and C. And then G is going to be our last activity. That takes 1 day, and the predecessor to that is F. Okay, so forward pass, backward pass is all about activities on the node, but I want to take a little step back here for a minute and talk about activities on the arrow. Okay, can you see the activities on the arrow for this particular work breakdown? Maybe. Can you see what the activities on the arrow would be in the sequence of events and the predecessors that go with it? Okay, so I want to take you back to that because I told you this the other day, but it's I'll remind you over and over again. It's activity on the arrow is a great way to do the back of the napkin kind of calculations for a project, but it also helps you see what the project looks like when you do activity on the node. Okay. When you get good at it, you can do both without too much concern here. So let's build a activity on the arrow just as a deviation, but momentarily to get you going. Okay. So we got to start. Put an oval around that. Of all the things that are going on after I start, we literally have A, B, and C that has no predecessor. Correct? So in essence, A, B, and C are like this. Okay? And then we draw an arrow to it. And then we can put our days on it. So 2, 3, 1, and actually it could be days or weeks. I didn't specify the duration. But I label the arrow with the duration time. Okay. What comes after A? D. So I'm going to put D over here. And then I'm going to go for an arrow from A to D. And it's going to have one number for duration. 2. Everybody seeing this? Did I lose anybody? You got a lot of, go ahead. Where have I lost you? So I'm taking these activities here in the activity column and the predecessors. So if I look at A, B, and C, there's no predecessors. So they're a standalone first activity by themselves. Okay? When I come down to D, I have a predecessor of A all by itself. So that gives me A going to D, and A is the predecessor to D. So I can't do D until I get A done. Buddy with me on that? This is one of these, honestly, folks, I know you're looking over top of the monitors, but this is one where I really need head nods or yes, confirmation, because I will lose you in a heartbeat, and I don't mean to. We good? So E has to be A and B. Okay. So what's that going to look like? So I'm going to put get out of there. I'm going to put an E here, like so. And the predecessor is B, so that's a straight line. But it's also a predecessor where A goes to E. Following along? Okay. Go ahead, Sarah. So A to E is going to be 2 weeks or 2 days, whatever. And then B to E is going to be 2 days or 2 durations. So far, so good? Make sense to you? Back row? Yes? No? Maybe? Okay. It's really funny. Henry raises his head up so I can get his hat out of the way. And Kevin just sits back there with his hood pulled up. You see his hair. All right. What's the next one? F. So F has to be preceded by D, E, and C. What's F look like? D, E, and C. So what if I did an F like this? Because D's going to F, E's going to F, and then believe it or not, C's going all the way over to F. Yes? Okay, so in the back of the envelope, that's what we're going to. And then G is followed by, G is the predecessor. Back up. F is the predecessor to G. Okay, so that's 1, whatever. Days, weeks, months, year. By the way, if you do this for year projects, you want a lot of money. Okay, and there's going to be a lot more steps. Okay. All right. So far, good on the activity on the arrow kind of concept? Yes. What's the critical pathway? So you'd have to sit here and do the math to go through it. Literally 1, 2, 1. So that's 4. B to E to F is 5, 7, 8. 2, 4, 6, 7. I'd say the critical pathway is B, E, and F to G. Okay. So if I was going to depict that on here, I'd draw a double line through that. Okay. Just so you can see it. Critical pathway will become a lot more obvious when we do the activity on the node. Buddy, okay? All right. Let's do the activity on the node. And you're going to get really sick and tired of drawing boxes. But it's the only way to do it. All right. So the nice thing about the activity on the arrow is I set this up. I now have my format. Because what I did was, I've done this enough times. I know what the lines look like. You're going to build this and you're going to have spaghetti the time you're done with activity on the arrows. Okay? And if you don't, I'd be really surprised. You got 13 activities you're trying to do, and you're trying to figure out which one's in the right sequence and which one precedes what and which one follows what. Your arrows are going to look like you're crisscrossing and going all over the place. It's okay. Trust me. We've all been there. We've done it. And nobody in their right mind should criticize you for it. It's whether or not you can clean up your spaghetti and lay them out in a nice straight line. Okay? Or you get a knife out and you cut it and then throw on some Parmesan cheese and we can eat it. Ideally, we want to straighten them out. Okay? So, all right. So, A, B, C is pretty easy. It's going to look like this. So we're going to do a box. And it looks like this. Okay. And I got activity A. We know the duration of activity A is 2. Worry about the rest of it in a minute. Let's do B. So divide the boxes into 3 vertical spaces, and then you're going to separate the left and right side into equal spaces. And then the center has 3 boxes for that space, and the top box is B, and the center box is 3. So far with me? Okay. The next one happens to be C. Anybody sick of drawing boxes yet? No, someone actually said no. It could be the most relaxing part of the job. So this is C, and we have that as 1. Okay? All right. I need a box up after A that I can use for D. And D is 2. Okay. I need a box for E. So as long as E's not preceded by D, I can stick it underneath D here. And if it is, and I make a mistake, I'll just wind up with a line that curls back around to the beginning of E. Okay, something like this, which might look kind of stupid, but it's okay. You're rookies at it, and if you get good at it, I'll get you a job with a project manager. All right, so the duration for E is 2. And then if I look at my activity on the arrow, I know F has 2 also. Guess we can make that look a little more like a 2. Handwriting counts here, folks. And the last one happens to be G, which is way out here at the end. Okay. Who wants me now?
Come back to the meeting. We miss you.
Okay. So, arrows. Let's draw those. So you can have, if it makes your world a happy place, draw a little arrow or a circle, put start in the front of it, draw up, over, put an arrow in, draw over to B, put an arrow in, draw down, put an arrow in. Okay. You can draw it nice and rectangular. You can draw it kind of like the activity on the nodes or the activity on the arrows. But we are kind of a geometric process in this. So, and it should look like this. Okay. Except A is going to break off and come down into B, and it's going this way, that way. We're going to draw an arrow there. We're going to draw an arrow here, and then one here, and one there. Okay. So far, so good? Okay. We're going to go do forward pass first, then we'll come back and do backward pass on this one. Okay. So early start. So let's remember these boxes. I'm going to put an ES outside of this. Late start. Early finish. Late finish. Okay. And we're going to pass forward and we're going to the end. The cool bit is when we get to the end, the last two boxes of early finish, late finish have to be what? Exact same number. You cannot end a project and have a wishy-washy end. You got to declare we're done. Okay? All right. So the first box for early start, nothing can start before the contracts are issued and all that sort of stuff. They're all 0. Okay? So we literally, we go this way in the math. Here to there. So our early finish is 2. Okay? All right, so we move on to D, because D is preceded by A. So the earliest you can start D is at 2 weeks. I'll start using the term weeks with this just to make it make sense. Okay. The late start, late finish, I can't do until I do back pass. Okay. So 2 plus 2 is the early start or the late early finish that I can do. 4. Okay. Now I'm going to hold you there for a minute. We're going to go work on the other boxes because each of these preceding activities of F are going to change some times on us. Okay. So I can't just put a 4 over here in F. Okay. So we're back to B. 0 plus 3 makes this one a 3. 3 carries forward. This is a 3, but it could also have been a 2. Okay, but 3 is the earliest I can start because I can't do E until I finish B. With me? Anybody not with me? Throw things up in the air. Okay, everybody good? Okay, so in this particular case, I got to look at 3 and I got to look at this 2. So I'm looking for the max number in the early finish boxes. The largest number is 3. Everybody buy that? Okay. So I'm going to put a 3 in there. Okay. All right. C, 0 and 1. That leaves me a 1 in this early finish box. So far, so good? Okay. So I'm all the way back over here to E. 3 plus 2 is 5. Thank you. Just checking to see if you remember your math. Okay. So now I have a 4, a 5, and a 1 that could go into F. What's the largest number of the 3 predecessors? 5. Everybody see that? I can't start F until I've finished E. But D and C also have to be finished. And that was up in the values up here. Okay. All right. Early finish on F, 7. Okay. There's no predecessors besides F for G, so we carry the 7 over. 7 plus 1 makes an 8. Okay. The 8 comes down to the late finish. Can't change anything there, can I? Okay. So now we're just going to reverse the process here. So 8 minus 1, 7. Okay. 7 comes back over to the late finish on F. With me so far? Am I going too fast? I don't want to leave anybody behind.
The last box, it always goes down to the last finish.
Yep. So when I get to this last node, early finish always equals late finish. Okay. Cannot be anything but. So I can't go, well, I'm going to finish on April 12th, but I'm going to also maybe finish on April 19th. 7 days apart. No. If you declare the finish early is April 12th, then your latest you can finish is April 12th. Okay? And that's going to be written in a contract. You're going to start on this date, you're going to end on this date. And that's how you're going to do it. With me so far? Okay. All right. So 7 minus 2, well, that's still a 5. So that's kind of a critical path right there. But now we get to go take a look at this 5 is going to come back up to D. It's going to fill in E, and it's going to fill in C. Okay, so I'm going to do D first. 5 back to D gives me 5. 5 to E gives me 5. 5 to C gives me 5. Okay. All right. Now let's do E and D, and I'll come back and explain what's going on with C here. So 5 minus 2 gives me 3. 5 minus 2 gives me 3. C, 5 minus 1 gives me 4. Let me get rid of that for a minute and make that a real 0. Okay. So, and I carry back, I got 3 going back to B and C from E. So I'm going to put a 3 in here. And I'm going to put a 3 up here. Okay. 3 minus 3 puts me back to 0 day. Okay. 3 minus 2 puts me back to 1 in that box up in A. Everybody see the picture? Okay. So here's the cool thing. I can start A at day 0, and I have a week to get it started without affecting my schedule. Okay. B, I got to start on day 0, and I got a latest I can start it is day 0. Okay. And then if I go over to E, 3 and 3, there's no wiggle room there. So this becomes a critical path. Okay. E to F is 5 and 5. There's no wiggle room there. So critical path. And then when I go to G, of course, it's still the same critical path. Okay. So my critical path
So for instance, the critical paths, or wherever you do, whatever job, it's typically maybe like the major aspects of the job, like the A and B are gonna be like smaller little projects that have to be done.
So
Or is it just depend on how
I
long?
think it kind of, what you're asking, Gabe, is are all jobs going to be the most critical things? No, it really comes down to what's going to be your critical path is the one that takes the most amount of time. So is pouring concrete a critical activity? Yes, to make the rest of the building go up. But it's not always parts of it that are going to be critical. It could be, well, that's not so critical. We got a couple weeks to play with because in order to get to the second pour, we need to do something else before we can do that. Okay. And that has some wiggle room in it before we go do anything. Right. So, ideally, yes, your critical path are your critical activities, but some of your activities are not always critical. They do have to happen, but not always in a sequence. Okay. Yes, sir.
So your critical path would be like your activities that want to like stay on time, right?
Yeah. Like, in order to get this project done by April 12th, I need to be lockstep on all these particular activities. And I have no room to wiggle there. So if we go back and take a look at C for a minute, and the other telltale sign of this is because C goes all the way out and doesn't have any following activities until we get to F, you kind of expect to have some wiggle room here. I can actually start C at week 4 because I don't need a week to do it. And it's going to get done before I start F because the other two activities are taking 5 and 4 weeks. Okay. But I can look at D and I got a week there that I can play with. Okay. So that gives me a week to early start or late start if I want to. Okay. Okay. Cool. Did I talk about float? I don't think I did. Okay. Yeah, I got one for you to practice here in a bit. Now let me get rid of that total float. Okay, so late start minus early start is equal to late finish minus early finish will equal 0. 0 is the path of criticality. Yes, sir. Say it again. Total float, this TFN?
No, that's like the label.
That's the label. Yeah. So TF subscript N for the activity is equal to 0. It would be, let's do it this way. Does that make more sense? Okay. Okay, there's one more type of float. Well, actually, there's a couple more. Let me get this down onto cut. Let's paste it down there. Okay. There is a free float, and that's usually labeled FFN. So free float is the maximum early start of all successor activities minus the early finish of the activity. Okay. So this is how this looks in reality. So just to put it in picture framing. So let's take a look at these two. So that 5 comes out of there, and that 4. Now let's go a different pathway for that. This 4 goes from here. Okay. And we get 1. So we got a week in there we can do anything we want with. And that's always helpful when you got a project that's trying to run tight on time. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. All right. The next one. Interfering float. I'll be back down in a minute there. Let me get this thing out of the way. Okay. All right. This one. Will not delay start of one or more non-critical activities. This word right here is a not. So interference flow, delay time available for any activity that does not defy completion, but such a delay will not delay start of one or more non-critical activities. It's a lot of mouthful for, if you got wiggle room, you can delay the start. Okay. And its abbreviation is IF equals late finish minus okay. And it has a box that looks something like this. Okay. And that's what that one's about. Okay, this little box is getting in my way. Get out of there. All right, so back to total float for a minute here. Another way to look at this is TF is equal to free float minus the interference float. Okay, and that's the way to calculate that. Everybody caught up? This guy's kind of shaking her head.
I'm gonna rewatch it because I understand what you're speaking.
Okay.
I know your lingo.
All right. So here's your first real practice at this. Yep. So you can take and write this down. I haven't even seen if this thing's accessible or not. I'll try that tonight and see if it is readable. If it is, I'll post it in Brightspace along with a Dropbox for it. But what I'm looking for is that you take this, these activities, A through M, and build them as an activity on the arrow. Okay, so I guess I should write that down. Homework. Use seven 7.4 Okay. And I'll put this in writing up on the assignment. But if you get the first draft you come up with, looks like spaghetti, take a picture of it. I'm always curious to see what you thought. And then do it again so you can clean it up and take a picture of that one. So submit as many copies of this as you need to make it look clean. Okay. And then Wednesday night I will go through a review the answers with you. How's that? Okay. So I'm going to put this one as a short assignment. Is it's got to be due tomorrow night at midnight. But it shouldn't take you more than about 15 minutes to doodle out the first one and then go, well, I don't like that one. Doodle it again. Okay. Everybody clear?
You wanted it because you kind of drew two different ways. You said you wanted it the first way, not the second.
This is the activity on the arrow. So that looks like
Not the neat one.
not the neat little boxes.
Yeah,
It's this one.
Arrow on the arrow, and then
Okay.
the N was for arrow on the.
Arrow on the node, or activity on the node. Sorry.
No, you're good. I just.
Yep.
I know I'll be redoing it because
We doing the math for critical path on this, or just draw?
No, just draw it out. Yeah, you can try to figure it out, but I got news for you. There's wonderful software to make that a lot easier, and it's always a lot easier when you do it as activity on the node because the boxes show themselves in bold highlight. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, critical path. I can see it. I don't need to sit here and do a bunch of math. Okay. Doesn't mean I won't make you do it on an exam, but you can try it, but it's not required. Right now, what I'm really after with this one, folks, is simply this. we've gone through this. I've demonstrated the logic to you. I want to see if you're following along. And if you're not following along, then I got to fix you. Right, Kevin? Right. I'll take you up to the snowbank and leave you there for an hour. Now, that'd be cruel and unusual punishment. Okay? I will help you, though. If I don't see if you're doing something wrong, I will make sure you're getting it. Okay? All right. Questions? Okay, that's it for today. Go back where?
And you said that was due tomorrow or in our class time?
Wednesday, you want to go over it. I'll make it due tomorrow night at midnight. So you got all day tonight and tomorrow to do it, and give me a chance to.
Does that have to be on a green paper?
No, you can doodle on it. You're just gonna scan it to me as a
Yeah.
scanned image PDF. Yeah,
Okay.
Did Dr. Regal find you today?
you did. But are you the problem child in question of accounting?
Yeah.
She didn't say who it was.
Yeah, it was
Just
me.
a student.
It was me.
You go over to David Akins over at the bookstore and talk to him about how to get eCampus and Cengage and everybody working in your favor.
Did she tell you that the one he put the IBSN number on Brightspace?
Yep,
And when I went to the bookstore,
it did a different book.
it's a different book that doesn't have the access code. So
Right.
he emailed us saying the people who've already purchased the book didn't get their access code. They have to call Cengage and figure it out through the website. So I didn't purchase it for $235 because it doesn't come with the access code. So I asked him, I can't find it anywhere. So I asked him to link it to the bookstore, and he just hasn't emailed me back in like 4 days.
Okay, so go over and see David. Explain the whole thing to him, and you need help getting just the access code.
Well, the book, I'm not going to buy the book because it doesn't come with the access code. So
Yeah, but the one book you don't want. The one book that comes from Cengage that has access to that's the one you need.
Right, so how will he help me get it?
You'll figure out which book's the right book. Because other students have probably had the same question.
And when do I do that?
I would have done it in the middle of the day today when she asked me about it 3 hours ago.
Because I've been waiting for him to. Well, what about the whole problem? He's not emailing me back, isn't?
Well, that's the problem. But right now, it's a matter of getting you access to the right book. And the best way to do that is see David and get him to help you with Cengage to get access to what you need.
So buy the wrong book for $235.
No. Buy the right book, but with David's help.
But she can't find the right book.
But I
because
can't-
he won't email her.
But David will know the right book. Because he's, like I said, he's probably been dealing with the same problem
So
with students in the business
I
department.
have the IBSN number for the right book, but I can't find it anywhere. I can't find it through the bookstore. I can't find it on Amazon. I can't find it anywhere.
It's probably not accessible that way. It's directly from Cengage. I suspect it's called MindTap. So they give you access to all the books that Cengage has. So Cengage deals with you directly.
Yeah, because all the homework, all the exams
Yep.
is through Cengage. It's not even through the professor.
Yeah.
So,
it's the business department uses MindTap religiously, and they're going to give out a special ISBN. It's not a book that you can get a hard copy of. It's not like this book here.
well, he's providing us. He wants us to get a hard copy of the book that also comes
Sure,
with the
but
access.
they will also, when you buy the MindTap, they will send you a book to go with it.
with the access code.
Yeah, with the ISBN that you know is the right ISBN.
So So then, say I get the book. What do we do about him not answering me? And also the first
That
assignment
we're dealing
was-
with through Dr. Regal, myself, and their business team.
And because the first assignment was due Friday, I emailed him well before that, and I just didn't. So now I've got a late assignment that I haven't even been able to access because I can't even access any of the work because it's all through this
Right.
website. So it's like I'm just a little fed up because I'm paying for this, except for the professor has basically washed his hands of this entire course. It seems like.
I suspect you're not the only one, and when I start talking to that dean tomorrow, I'll probably have some choice words to say, and he'll probably have some choice words to say to your faculty member. But in the meantime, you need to get the access that you need to the right ISBN.
So they're open at what time?
8 in the morning,
Till what time?
so 4 o'clock, 4:30, somewhere in there.
So they're not open.
He may still be there, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't really want to walk all the way over there to find out.
So first thing in the morning.
What a pain. Also, I stormed out of here earlier because that kid that was sitting next to me is sniffling every 2 seconds. I was literally about to freak out.
Okay.
I was literally going to say, buddy, go blow your nose right now. I can't do this sniffling every 2 seconds. I texted Skylar, I was like, I'm about to freak out. It was so frustrating.
I was gonna tell you to go for a walk, and you instantly were like, nah.
That was all I heard all class. I was literally about to freak out. I went looking for a box of tissue so I could bring back in here, but I couldn't find any. Alright, I'm going home. I'm done for today. Bye, see you.
Have a good night.
You too. Have a good night in Newtown.
You too.
I'll try.
Okay. My favorite friends in California are still playing games.
You had to take a soils class back in your day.
Did I have to take a soils class? No. Did I take a soils class along the way? Yes.
So maybe I'm wondering if maybe you could help me with this real quick.
Probably not, but I'll try. Not to.
It's a